Where am I? Underground.
That barrier almost looks like the veil.
And the panel looks like our scry. Anyone know what it is?
No idea.
Similar design to a scry, but it looks like it's a permanent installation. Like it interfaces with the room. Could this be the harness?
Must be. It seems like Asylum involved sealing away whatever's beyond this barrier.
With this discovery and everything else you found, I should be able to piece together what Asylum actually was. Years after the surge, there was an inexplicable spike in casualties.
You don't think it's due to the arcs going hostile?
Well, that may be part of it, but we can't be certain due to the information blackout. All we know is that it nearly wiped the Hearthsiders out. What seems to have saved them was Asylum's execution. A defensive measure that involved sealing the underground behind a magical barrier.
Almost like the veil.
Exactly like the veil.
So the Enclave didn't just hide information from the rest of the Mater, but their own people as well.
Judging from the secrecy and a few of the letters you found, I would guess that high-level officials were paranoid. Clearly, not everyone was in favor of this measure, and some might have wished to thwart it.
I wonder who they were afraid of.
There was enough civilian unrest long after the surge that the Eye was concerned about an uprising. His response? Locked down the channels of information. Still, my guess is the uprising didn't happen, or at least lack success on a large scale. Otherwise, we would find more evidence of it.
You said the casualties spiked long after the surge. Can you elaborate on what might have caused this?
This is truly the thousand-fairer question. With the information blackout, I can't find a concrete link to the cause across hundreds of pages. Arc hostility could certainly be a factor. Clearly, numerous Weavers were killed by their own defenses. The recorded minutes from other meetings in the war room illustrate a long period of geological instability following the surge as well. Aftershocks and earthquakes and, well, not to mention the outskirts grew more dangerous each year as the creatures were allowed to breed unculled. But these threats seemed to plateau in the early years after the surge. There is no mention of the spike that resurfaced and prompted Asylum.
That's so strange.
It is.
Khan Stanild gave the orders to execute Asylum. Do we know anything else about him?
Judging from the series of letters between him and the commander, it would seem that, at the time, he was recently elected. And judging from the frequency with which he followed up on the commander's progress with Asylum, this defensive measure was a key pillar in his political platform. He seemed to grow increasingly concerned with his popularity among civilians in the most recent letters.
Ugh, isn't that kind of slimy?
Leveraging a security crisis to consolidate political influence? Yes, it's incredibly slimy and effective.
And the commander? Do we know what happened to him?
It would appear that Asylum was executed successfully, so perhaps he is still alive. But until we find the Hearthsiders, we can't know for sure.
It's got to be where the Hearthsiders went, right? Remember, the letter mentioned they were evacuated from the city.
To an undisclosed location. We have no real confirmation that they are down there.
But it would make sense, wouldn't it? After all, asylum can mean shelter or safekeeping.
It can also mean prison. I know everyone wants an easy answer to where they went, but something just doesn't add up. You would think there would be at least one document linking Asylum to the evacuation of the city, and there simply isn't.
This is all interesting, but I'm not sure where it'll lead us.
Further exploration of Denevran is required. It might be an abandoned city, but it's still a city. But Bryn, there's one more thing.
What is it?
The barrier. It's exactly like the Veil.
Yes, you said that already.
No, what I mean is, the raw magic that off-gasses from the Veil is what causes the tangles to cluster at its base. In speaking with Dharm, we theorized that this second barrier could potentially be doing the same thing. Except in a more pressurized environment, like, say, within a barrier of kinetic magic.
It's causing the floods of miasma.
We believe so, yes.
So if we removed Asylum's barrier, we could stop the flood.
Possibly.
I guess I need to find a way to break through Asylum.
Agreed.
All this light stone is reflecting the heat.
It would be so much worse if it were absorbing it.
everyone home. Still, not a view.
Are these the embassies?
Envoy's Landing, yes. It wasn't by chance that visiting dignitaries had to walk across the verdant gardens to meet their enclave counterparts at the Spire. Upper Denevron was designed to impress.
Maximilian Enties, founder of the Enclave. Judging by the size of this statue, he certainly wasn't shy of his accomplishments.
That arch should lead you to the lower city.
strand for your mantle.
End of the lifeline, Bryn.
A body. Ahead. Outfit looks like our spying friends.
So, it's a uniform.
There's a note in his pouch. New drop. Market Loomgate, it says. But... wait. Under his mask, he's... scorched. Aurea, this looks like the wound on your wing. Only... it's... everywhere.
But there's no tangle there.
Could he have been caught in the flood?
Seems likely. Proof we should take that warning seriously.
I think we should look into that drop his note mentioned.
Especially if it's near a loom gate.
There's a small compartment here, hidden in the statue, already open and empty.
I often heard that as you entered the perch, the bustle of Denevron would begin to crescendo until it peaked in the market.
I must ask, to step from here all the way to the capital, what did it feel like?
Arriving in the city felt exhilarating, I guess. If that's what you mean.
No, Denevron's amazing, we know. I'm asking about the sensation of being transported such a distance. So far, you'd only done tiny hops through the loom gates. Was there any notable difference crossing hundreds of leagues?
Truthfully, there wasn't much of a sensation at all. A flash of light and I was in Denevron. That's it.
Oh, I see. I guess I was hoping for a little more. It's all right. There will be bigger discoveries.
If you're lucky, maybe on the 100th time through, I'll get unspooled.
That would not be ideal. Though it would be interesting.
An abandoned city like Denevron. It must be full of supplies we could use. Do you think you could maybe grab some things for me?
You know I'm happy to help. What do we need?
I've noticed there are more arcs in the city.
So have I.
The upside is, according to Lane's logs, the ones carrying shields could be scavenged for assault. A metal we could use to reinforce all kinds of gear and facilities. A little heat would help in prying it off the arcs.
All right. I'll come back as soon as I have some.
Great. Thanks, Bryn. So, spare a little rassault for a good cause?
Right here.
Perfect! I was actually thinking it would be good to start stockpiling some Acalahide. The nights get pretty cold here, and we could use it to reinforce our tents and blankets for warmth.
I'll be back in no time.
Thanks, Bryn. Please, hurry. Any luck hunting?
That should be enough for a few blankets and tents.
Oh, that's so great. I don't suppose you would mind getting something else for me?
Yeah, no problem. If you've still got room in the caravan.
I'm just thinking, in an unknown climate, we don't know how fast the seasons might turn here, and as I said, it gets pretty cold at night. We should stock softwood for warmth. Like, a lot of it. To keep our hearth lit, you know?
Oh. Okay. Well, I'm confused. The Acalahide I just brought you isn't enough?
It's a start, for sure, but we need to be more prepared. Lots of softwood could really save us in a pinch.
Kaz, I've been bringing you all this stuff because I thought it would help you feel better. But honestly, you seem even more anxious now. Are you all right?
No, I'm fine. I really am. I just need to make sure the Weaver Band is okay.
Right. It's just... I'm trying to make sure you're okay.
Please. I really need your help with this.
All right. I guess I'll be back then.
Thanks, Bryn. Come back with it soon. Did you manage to find enough softwood?
If you need more than this, the Don Brennick Pine Preservationists will come for me. Here you go.
Oh, great.
You don't sound as happy as I thought you'd be.
It's just that what I'm realizing is the Weaver Band really needs Drake scales. Like, give or take 90 to be safe.
Wait, 90 Ash Peak Drake scales?
Yeah, not the easiest thing to get, but maybe instead of fighting drakes, you could find one of their nests. I think they shed, right?
Kaz, you know I'd love to spend my days hunting down drakes for you, but 90? What could we possibly need 90 scales for?
Because... It's hard to explain, but... Please, 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 can you trust me? I just really need you to trust me.
All right. I'll see what I can do.
Casbin, what's going on? Are we outfitting an army?
Because it's... I just think we could...
Don't you think Bryn's got you pretty well stocked at this point?
But... You're right. I got carried away. Sorry.
It's okay.
Thanks for all your help. Excuse me, I'm gonna put all this away now.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
If you say so. Good work, Bryn. We'll take care of the rest of this.
Most people couldn't even stand straight wearing one of those. You, however... Perfect pair.
Weaver's Rest. Said to be a common place for weavers in Lowtown to gather.
The record said this place was registered to our enchantress of interest, Lucia. It sure doesn't look like a saboteur or smuggler's den. On the workings of Archons by L. de Crassus. Seems promising. Dom?
Certainly top. There were references to it in those notes you found, come to think of it. Definitely bring it back. Another piece of the puzzle.
My mentor used to regale me with stories about the Ironwalk after a long day at the smithy.
Artisans, metal workers, and crafters also had stands here, though the smiths were by far the draw for travelers.
A sledgeworm can throw things over 3 times its size.
Running parallel are known as the Three Sisters, many weavers hosteled here.
chance we'll get a new strand from that kill?
No, too weak. The only way to strengthen a power is through active harvest.
Any luck with the materials we gathered from Lucia's workshops?
Yes. I'll let Sev fill you in.
We started with the book, which was painfully dry and highly theoretical.
Unsurprising. The Enclave was notoriously tight-lipped about the construction of the arcs.
The book was still useful, as it contained a number of craft-specific terms, shorthands and annotations, all critical. Referencing the book clarified the notes.
Without it, they bordered on deranged rant, especially at the end.
Sort of a window into her thinking.
We suspect Lucia spent a long time in isolation while working on these.
She covered many topics, but the most prominent was her work into the Flood.
Who exactly was Lucia? It seems like she had a lot going on.
Brilliant, but disturbed. She harbored a severe hatred of Enclave leadership, bordering on obsession.
Reams of fiercely colorful text, just to say some very rude things, especially about the Eye, their leader.
She was also, at one point, one of the most respected enchanters in the Enclave. She worked on something she refused to name, but was clearly of deep significance to the Enclave itself. Called it the source of all our problems.
Sadly, she only danced around that subject, and never offered details.
We know the Hearthsiders spent years working in Denevron after the Surge. Why do we think Lucia ended up so far from the capital?
It's evident she disagreed with the leaders of the Enclave and gathered others around her who agreed. There's talk of several meetings taking place in the Mire, most likely to be away from prying eyes.
Called her group the Verdant Minds. Very planty.
I like it. It's poetic.
Her workshop was a little brisk, even for my tastes. Any idea why?
She was fascinated with Enclave technology, specifically the dismantling, disruption, and repurposing of it.
Remember our talk about the aeroliths and how they could influence the weather? When the effect is accidentally concentrated, it can be quite intense. We suspect she was experimenting with the aerolith in relation to the floods. She predicted their start.
How do those devices I found with her mark on them tie into all of this?
In her final notes, her obsession shifted from the Enclave's leadership to the miasma flood. She was determined to find a way to stop it. On one hand, she looked to the aeroliths as a mitigation. Could they repel the miasma?
In the end, her answer was no. And so she turned to disruption. We think the arcs were tests. Could she shut them down?
And if so, could she shut down something larger?
She was clearly successful at least once. Maybe twice if we count the one outside the Veil.
Indeed, and when we're doing more general questions, that is what we must talk about.
All intriguing information. But we should focus on the flood. Does she have an answer for us?
Partially. This is the design.
Her research led her to one conclusion. To stop the floods. She needed to disrupt a barrier of some sort.
This confirms our theory from earlier. She's talking about the barrier established by Asylum.
Her design is detailed and specific. The device it would create inverts the flow of magic and enchanted objects, disrupting them for a time.
We think the devices we found on the Arks were prototypes, small experiments to determine efficacy and duration.
So what's the catch? If the floods are still happening, clearly she didn't build one.
Lucia's thimble, as she calls it, requires some highly specialized components. It has to withstand considerable magical flow, far more than what's produced by an Ark.
It's like how mass scales exponentially. Just because you can build a scale model of an aqueduct doesn't mean the real thing can support its own weight.
If, and it is a very big if, we could find those components, we could construct Lucia's thimble. We have the expertise.
We'll find them. It's just a matter of time.
I only hope we have enough.
The other thing we'll need is a source of magical flame. Solar's mantle won't be enough by itself.
I can handle that part easily. Okay, so we have clear next steps. Just one more thing. What happened to Lucia?
The flood. Our best guess, at any rate. There's no sign of her.